Hey guys, we're back. We're here with Khalil Williams from Design Electronics, Khalil, in Ontario. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, we're headquartered in Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Oh, Niagara Falls. Oh, excellent. Did that boat move far?
No, it didn't move that far. No. Still on. It's still above the.
It's gone.
The news here is making out that it's a real big worry. So sorry, I've got off topic. We're here to talk to you because we met in London for the new King Tut Tutankhamun exhibition over in Chelsea. It was a pleasure to meet you and have a look around the exhibition. I just want to kick off with, firstly, my thoughts on the show was technology didn't get in the way of all these beautiful, wonderful historical artifacts, and that must have been part of your scope, part of the remit, right, to make sure that the stars of the show were all these historical artifacts and not the tech.
Yes, absolutely. When we were in the early concept stages, the mandate from the managing director of IMG, John Norman, was to create a remarkable experience. And in doing that, we had to ensure that all of the visual elements of the projection mapping and so forth just appeared to be a natural part of the exhibition, and the technology to be a very subtle but engaging backdrop to priceless artifacts that really are beyond compare. And when we went into the intro theater, we set a very high visual expectation, utilizing 3 edge-blended F70 4K projectors, all blended on a compound curved screen, 180 degrees. And when you walk into that and view the intro video, the content, the sound was just stunning. And that opens up a portal that falls into the story of this exhibition, which is going in to King Tut's afterlife and walking through the sections of the tomb and the gods that he would experience on his passageway. And the technology really created that effect. As the end of the video, we have a set of show-controlled doors that make you feel you're going into this ethereal passage, and there's spatial sound that affects the audience as they come in, and then all of a sudden there's a reveal to the first section of artifacts. So that was a way that technology was able to complement the exhibit without taking away from it, essentially setting the stage or becoming the crescendo up to the visual experience of the artifact.
Okay. My friends at Barco, we were recently at Korchik, so we're always pleased to hear about Barco success stories.
Yeah.
So you partnership with Barco on that, right?
Yes. So on this particular exhibit, we approached Barco to partner with us in delivering this project. It was the release of the F-Series projector during that time in 2017. It is what they referred to in marketing as the world's most silent projector. Perfect application for it in the museum environment, where you obviously don't want to hear fans running as you're sitting there and looking at an artifact. So it was a good marketing proposition for Barco, and they went in with us on this and full support in delivering that experience. In this particular exhibition, as you walk into each gallery, there are these portals that you enter, and each portal has projection mapping above it. Benefit of doing that is, one, it's visually interesting because now you have the letters of the portal that you're entering are moving, and there's this feeling of it being alive, essentially. And the other benefit to that is that when you travel this internationally, it becomes very simple to change the content for different languages as opposed to having to print new graphics each time. And with that, I know going back to keeping the technology hidden, this was all built custom spec to have lensing that would allow the projectors to be hidden above the truss and above the lighting and completely concealed. So as the guests are walking through, they're looking up to about 13 to 14 feet in the air, and all they're seeing is the mapping without any of the light reflecting back from the projectors or the body of the projectors themselves.
And I remember that because there was one area where you drew my attention to this particular feature, and I couldn't find the projector until you pointed it out to me. It was it really was quite well hidden. So as you go through, the technology is in the background. There's all these wonderful artifacts. We'll share some of the imagery of just the beautiful things that are on show there for our UK friends to encourage them to go to the King Tut show. Then I got to the wishing cup bit, and that was another area where the technology jumped out a little bit again and did a cool show. And we'll show that in a minute now. But what went into the design of that? Because that was one of the, I think as I recorded it, I can just hear me at the end of the recording saying, that was cool. So, what went into that part?
Can you see anything? Yes. Wonderful things.
That was cool.
When we originally designed this, there were two complete floors. And as part of the story going into the afterlife, once we've walked through the series of tombs, the story transitions to his discovery. And the wishing cup was actually at the top of the tomb. And as part of their belief system, it was held waiting for someone to be carried in to the next life or to be reborn, which very much became the case. It was the first thing they found when they opened the tomb. So we wanted to create this transition with an intermediary theater in the entire exhibition experience. And we used a combination of projection mapping and also a screen that when projected on appeared to be opaque, and then when backlit became translucent to some degree. Through lighting, essentially we backlit what would be similar to a light box, but the box had an amount of depth where the stairs of the tomb were then lit from the opposite side. So as you watch a video, it's explaining the concept of the wishing cup, and the actual wishing cup is in front of you. And it's, it's dimly lit and it's glowing, and the story ensues, and the video has a substantial amount of sound effects to it to make it sound like the front of the tomb is being chipped away slowly, and then an opening forms and the bass raises, and it comes up to this dramatic moment where the door of the tomb opens, which is essentially projection mapping, and we see the stairs and the wishing cup is lit. So it's quite a dramatic moment now to transition you into the next part of King Tut's life, which is after he was discovered. And the rest of the galleries go on to talk about the impact that he had on our society.
And I thought those stairs were real.
Yes, he did. They were real.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool effect. We sampled a fair amount of materials to achieve that. At the end of it, it was actually a bus perforated screen that we ended up using. But we sampled various screens where you could essentially switch the glass on and off to an opaque surface, but it didn't really have the desired effect. And I think when you're working towards creating, visual experiences like this, you have to be very careful that you do it right, because it can also come off quite corny. And I think it's a great compliment that you felt that the stairs were literally there. And ultimately, it's us, minus the R&D and the testing, it's a somewhat simple and inexpensive exercise for the net result compared to building real stairs, of course, right?
yeah. But I think for me, I think the beauty of all this, like Jay said, I've still not experienced it. But what's really nice, it just seems like it's a really good plus point for the tech, for the whole visual element of this, to give you what you wanted, but it be invisible, for it to be seamless. We did one recently where, just like you, if it wasn't for something like projection, a lot of this wouldn't have been possible. It's not something that you can put in there that is invisible to the users, that just makes them feel so immersed in what's happening. And that's the bit I like with this, is that, as Jay said, you just don't know the tech. It complements it so well.
Yeah, projection is almost having a second life as well. I think for a while there, flat panel displays, really, that was all the rage, and I can get a 90-inch display for a relatively decent price. But when it comes to creating effect, and especially the masking and the blending and mapping that we do now quite affordably, projection is the only way to go that I see.
So projection is the set of people for.
Yeah. What's next for you then, Khalil? Obviously, you've got King Tut now in London. So what else have you got on the scene?
We do a lot of fixed installation work locally. We're in the gaming sector. We also have a very unique home automation and theater business where we carry over a lot of the mission critical functionality and also experience factor into those projects as well. So they're neat and creative, a lot of fun. And we just also finished a dinosaur exhibition in Phoenix, Arizona. It just opened up. It's called Victoria the T-Rex. It's the second largest T-Rex and most complete T-Rex in the world. It will be doing a North American tour, and I imagine also an international tour eventually. That was quite a unique project. What we say is it's not your grandma's dinosaur exhibition. There is a lot of technology involved, interactivity to enhance the story of Victoria.
That appeals to the inner child, right? Did it with you? Did it appeal to the younger version of you? I get to tell a dinosaur story here.
Yeah, how cool is that, right? I mean, I think every kid grew up fascinated with dinosaurs, so to be a part of that is just, it's amazing.
I think by the time people are seeing this, Khalil, it'll be getting on for ISE time. Do you attend the ISE show?
I'll be in attendance this year. Yeah, it'll actually be my first time, so at least I'll be catching it the last time it's in Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
If you need any tips or anything, we're veterans of the show, so drop us a message and we'll let you know anything about it. And thanks for joining us on this episode of AV Jam. Really appreciate you taking some time and showing me, while these guys were at the Northern Lights show, showing me around the King Tut exhibition. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure, guys. And I look forward to seeing you at ISE. And I think you said this was going to air right after Merry Christmas, so Happy New Year.